You're listening to Murder Not Murdering with Erin,
and Autumn,
a true crime podcast about murder and murdering.
but we are not murderers.
And we are back at Murder Not Murdering with Erin and
Autumn.
welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone. We took a short break because it was the 4th of July and some birthdays happened. So we were taking a small break, but we are back and better than ever, right?
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
We also had to recover because, man, those stories were really gut-wrenching for Pride
They
Month.
were.
They need to be heard, and they need voices to remember their stories and tell their stories and still speak up. It's very important, especially in the times that we are experiencing right now. But they were not easy to tell.
No, it was definitely hard. Even just researching and trying to find cases because there are so many. And that's sad and awful, and the statistics are horrific. But, there was a lot of positivity I saw at Pride this year, at both Seattle Pride and the one we had in my neighborhood that I talked about. And so it was nice to see that. It was also nice to see a lot of resources available to people. I know at our specific White Center Pride that we had, they had a whole table of resources including notaries that were there on site to help people with their paperwork.
That's
And
amazing.
it was amazing, and it's really great. That's White Center Pride. If you ever want to donate there. They're wonderful people that really do a good job of trying to take care of our neighborhood and the community. I saw a lot of positivity. It was actually really nice. I think going into it, it's always a reminder that Pride is a protest and invisibility is important. So it was overall, I felt like it actually was inspiring, and it felt pretty great.
Also, let's see. You're going to hear some noises real quick, but I'm going to check how many views we have on Erin's amazing story that she did for Venus Extravaganza. So let me look right now. We have to know. I think it was up to 30,000 views last time I looked.
Well, more than anything, I think that it's an interesting case, and I think it's one that reminds people that trans lives matter. And there's also a documentary that just came out. If you do want to know more, it's called I'm Your Venus. It's on Netflix right now.
Yes, and I watched it. It was actually really good.
Yeah, it's really great. And I love that they combined her bio family and her ballroom family. So if you want to know more about that, definitely check it out. It's pretty amazing.
We are up to 31,000 views, Erin.
Awesome.
That is amazing. Thank you, everyone, for generating her story like that.
Yeah, for us, that's a big deal because
that's a huge deal.
We only just started doing the TikToks, so
yes, so that's amazing.
I'm glad some people liked it.
Not to like toot our own horn or anything. I have no idea why that went on fire like that. Maybe because everyone loves Venus. I mean, I'm thinking that's what it was.
I think that everybody should go out and follow us on TikTok or tell your friends about it or just tell friends to listen to your podcast. I think right now a lot of podcasts are kind of dying a little bit and people aren't listening to podcasts like they were in the, 2020 eras of lockdown and things like that. So if you know other people that would be interested in our podcast, please tell them because it makes a difference. And we're just like two ladies sitting in our houses.
Two ladies.
trying to talk about murder and spread the word. So, if you know anybody that's interested in our podcast, please share it. We appreciate that.
Please. Thank you so much.
And this week I go first because Autumn went first in the last one.
I am so excited to hear your story.
It's a fiery one.
Anything you do is always either spicy, fiery, dramatic. I just love all of your stories. It sounds like you're
describing me.
It's true. But I mean, that's your style and I love it.
Spicy, fiery, dramatic. Nailed it.
I mean,
Dismemberment.
you're like I mean, obviously, I like that because 'cause we've been friends for a million years.
Yeah, it's fun
Being Aaron's friend is fun
most of the time.
most of the time. Actually, I don't think I've ever been like, "I don't wanna be Aaron's friend."
I don't know, there's still time.
Shit. Well, if the time comes, I'll be
We'll
pretty
tell you about
shocked.
it.
Yeah, I'll be pretty shocked because we've been through hell and back together.
Yeah, once Autumn starts doing her own podcast, then you know.
Like, this is the podcast. We'll talk about never talk about the old-timey crimey lady
Murder Not Murdering with only Autumn.
with only Autumn. But I
Hey,
don't that wouldn't work because I don't know how to edit the podcast.
that is facts.
It would be you doing a solo podcast and me being like, "Well, shit, I guess I'm out of a job."
I do have some exciting podcast news, though, before I get started on my case.
Tell me.
We're going to have our first guest soon. It's
Yes, I did
probably
know
n
that.
it's probably yeah. It's probably not gonna be for a few weeks or maybe even a month. It depends on our schedules, but we're gonna have our friend Tim on, to be a special guest,
He will be our
uh,
first guest.
our first guest, and if you guys like that, let us know because we would do that more often.
Yeah.
We're figuring this all out as we go, so if you're interested in us having guests on or getting extra commentary, let us know,
If
and we
you wanna
would
be a
be
guest, let
if
us
you
know.
wanna be a guest, yeah. And if you have stories that you want us to cover,
Yes, yes.
DM us
Mhm.
hardcore.
Please do.
Yeah, that's at Murder Not Murdering.
We don't usually do huge cases, but Aaron and I have been in talks to do Ted Bundy
Yes.
because we have actual personal connections to it
Yeah,
that
we
would
both
be
do.
extremely interesting, so we will work on that and it will happen.
Yeah.
Not anytime soon because I
No.
feel like something like that is so labor intensive. We have to be very accurate with everything,
Yes.
but it will be
And
interesting.
we both have family connections to it. So
Yeah, like
it
close personal family
yes. So
connections.
it would be a really good one, but it's been done a lot, so we want to have a fresh different take on it when we do it, and it's going to be a lot more intense. But we do like to do smaller local cases, so if you have a shitty ass grandpa that did some
Yeah.
stuff, DM
Yes.
me and let me
I
know about
actually
it.
have 3 cases I'm currently working on that I have been submitted locally from friends I know,
Yeah,
and it's taking a while to put the pieces together because they are so local that I have to do a lot
find
of
enough
research.
information, yeah.
Yes. So I am working on some of those. One is somebody that my dad went to high school with.
Cool.
And that happened back when he was in high school. So it's kind of old timey if you think about it.
Yeah.
So
Don't
that
tell
one,
Stabby Jim that he's old-timey.
he knows. He knows he's an old timer.
Yeah. By the way, if you are a new listener, we call Autumn's dad Stabby Jim because he
Hmm.
gives everyone knives at holidays.
Yes. And even if it's not a holiday, and he
Yeah.
always has at least 5 pocket knives on him at all times.
He's not out in the street stabbing anyone actively,
No.
but he
No,
he
not
is ready.
actively.
But he
He's
ready.
ready. He stays ready, but he's never
Yeah.
actually stabbed someone
Yet
that I know of that
that
he
we can
submitted
talk
to,
about.
that we could talk about. True story.
Okay. Well, on that note, I'm
On
gonna go
that
ahead and
note,
get
I am ready for it.
good because I'm getting started.
Okay.
The title of my case is A Crime of Smoke and Shadow. On a dark November night in 1930, a car was found engulfed in flames on a quiet country lane in Northamptonshire. Inside, police discovered the charred remains of a man, his body burned beyond recognition. But this wasn't a tragic accident. It was a meticulously staged murder, part of a deadly plan to disappear, defraud, and start a new life. The only problem, the killer got caught. Today we are diving into the twisted tale of Alfred Rouse and the crime that shocked England, the 1930 blazing car murder. It's November 6th, 1930. In the pitch black hours of Guy Fawkes Eve. For those that don't know, Guy Fawkes Day, also known as Bonfire Night, is an annual celebration held on November 5th, primarily in the UK. It commemorates the gunpowder plot, a failed assassination attempt on King James I and Parliament in 1605. Celebrations include bonfires and firework displays. But on what was supposed to be a day of festivity, something horrifying happened on Hardingstone Lane. A classic British small car, a Morris Minor to be exact, was found ablaze with a body still inside, charred almost beyond recognition. To eyewitnesses, it looked like a bonfire. But what they found was a murder so calculated, the flames couldn't hide the truth. This is the story of Alfred Rouse, the man who tried to fake his death and nearly got away with murder. At approximately 1:50 a.m., two young men returning home assumed they saw a bonfire in the distance. They didn't take much note of it, but then, coming from the area approaching, they passed a neatly dressed man carrying a briefcase, who remarked, "It looks like someone's having a bonfire up there." He seemed fine, and it stood out only because it was odd to be carrying a briefcase at that hour. When they reached the flames, they discovered it was not wood, but a burning car. They extinguished the fire, and inside the wreck, they found a body with burned off limbs and neutralized lungs. But shockingly, the person was still breathing at the ignition. The victim was alive, then died within 30 seconds. Forensic tests confirmed that the fire was deliberate. The evidence was chilling and precise. They found a petrol pipe was loosened to spray fuel into the car. What we know is a post-mortem examination was carried out in a garage of the local public house by the Home Office-appointed pathologist, Sir Bernard Spilsbury. Working alongside with another pathologist, Sir Spilsbury found lavender-colored material and light brown hair. It was further documented that the victim's jawbone was removed to assist with possible identification, and tissue samples were taken for microscopical examination. Two of these tissue samples are still in existence and archived at the Royal London Hospital Museum.
Well, that's actually pretty cool.
Right? One from the prostate to confirm the sex of the victim, and the other from the lung to determine whether or not the victim was already dead before the fire started. We don't know the victim's name, but we have clues. They were estimated between the age of 33 and 37. They had light brown hair and had signs of working in dusty conditions. A major part of the investigation was looking at the burnt Morris Minor vehicle. Despite the heavy fire damage, experts managed to identify the car's brand and model. This took them back to Alfred Arthur Rouse. Alfred Arthur Rouse looked like any ordinary everyday man in 1930s Britain. But beneath his normal appearance, he had a history filled with lies, cheating, and a feeling of hopelessness. This feeling would push him to do something very wrong. His story shows us that things are not always what they seem. Alfred Rouse had a strong charm. He used this charm to impress many women across the country. You see, he was a traveling salesman. He was an expert at acting nice and seeming like a dependable man. But when things got tough, he got the fuck out of there, leaving trails of heartbroken women and illegitimate children.
Oh my God.
And here's the kicker: Alfred was already married and he had one son.
I mean, why are you being selfish? Why do you need all these women? You're stealing them all.
It's a lot. And many were married.
Oh.
So, yeah,
Okay.
he was selling a lot at those houses.
Oh my God. Okay. Selfish.
But to understand this complex murder, you need to understand a complex man. Alfred Rouse often hid his feelings. He served in World War I and suffered injuries. He was like many young men who fought in the war. He went to the Western Front and witnessed brutal horrors. This experience had a big impact on his mind. The brutal realities of battle, the fear of death, and the loss of friends gave Rouse deep, invisible scars. His sleep was plagued by nightmares, and he suffered from insomnia. Rouse sustained wounds to his head, knee, and thigh from a high explosive shell, which exploded close to his face, sending numerous fragments of shrapnel into his head and leg and rendering him unconscious. As a result of his injuries, he remained hospitalized for almost a year, undergoing several operations upon both his left temporal region, some of which were performed to remove the embedded shrapnel, both in his head and in his leg. His leg injuries left him unable to bend his knee and caused him to develop edema, severely affecting his ability to walk. He was formally discharged from the Army on February 11th, 1916, and awarded a military pension of 20 shillings per week. Following his recuperation, Rouse returned to live with his wife. Medical records revealed that at this stage in his life, he was still severely disabled. In July 1916, Rouse's doctor noted that his memory was defective and that he was unable to wear a hat of any kind because of the scar around his temporal lobe. Furthermore, although Rouse's speech and writing abilities were unaffected by his injury, one note in Rouse's medical records reads, "He sleeps well unless excited in any way." Consequently, Rouse's military pension was raised to 25 shillings per week in August 1916, based on his abilities at that time. In late January 1917, Rouse's doctor discovered that he had made a degree of progress in his recuperation from his leg injury, and they believed that he could, by his own endeavor, overcome his injury. A year later, Rouse informed the doctor that he had been suffering from bouts of dizziness. Although the doctor noted how talkative he was, even noting that he laughed at times in their conversation. In September 1918, Rouse complained again that he was suffering from a defective memory. On July 30th, 1919, a doctor examining him observed that while he would not allow his knee to be flexed more than 30%, he now suffered from no long-term disability from the head wound that he had suffered during battle. This doctor could also not find any reason for Rouse's limitation of his knee movement. His pension was decreased to 12 shillings per week. I kind of think they think that he's, at this point, kind of trying to keep that pension money coming in
Mhm.
and not
I would agree.
working. That's what they're
Mhm.
insinuating. They said he could definitely flex his knee more, but he wouldn't.
Right.
In August 1920, a final examination revealed that his head injury had completely healed and that the limitations of his knee movement had decreased dramatically. Rouse's pension was terminated the following month, with him receiving a final lump payment of £41 in settlement of all of his injury claims. Now, at this point, he has to go back to work. Many of the jobs that he found involved the use of vehicles, resulting in Rouse becoming a moderately skilled mechanic. The same year, he also began to conduct illicit affairs, in which he invariably posed as a single man who seduced any woman or girl he found attractive. The first known woman he seduced was a 14-year-old Edinburgh girl, whom he impregnated at age 15, then abandoned, leaving the girl to give birth to their child in a home for unwed mothers. 4 years later, in 1925, Rouse began an affair with a woman named Nellie Tucker, and in 1928, Tucker gave birth to a baby girl. Shortly thereafter, Tucker obtained a child support order, the first of many to file against Rouse. Good for her. In June 1929, Rouse found employment as a commercial traveler for a company who primarily sold braces and garters. He was earning £4 a week, with expenses paid each Friday, and a sales commission paid each month. This was enough for him to buy a house for him and his wife and buy a 1928 Morris Minor car. But by summer of 1930, he was deeply in debt. Despite already being married and the father of a child, he is known to have bigamously married 3 other women. Rouse had already had one child support order imposed on him by Tucker, but now she was pregnant with a second child and fully expecting him to marry her as well. Then a young Welsh woman named Phyllis Jenkins had also been impregnated by him and expecting marriage in the near future. In addition, Rouse faced several other impending child support cases from other women across the country and one woman in Paris. That man got around. At this point, he had begun to think about committing murder in which he would fake his own death. He had taken out a £1,000 accidental death policy, naming his actual wife as beneficiary, to be paid in the event of an accidental death of an owner driver in his vehicle. This was a tidy sum back then. It would be worth approximately £83,000 today. So that's nothing to scoff at.
Right.
His plan was to pick a drifter, kill him, burn his own car and the body inside, disappear, and let the insurance payout start his new life. On November 5th, 1930, Rouse picked up a random man, described as a possible drifter, in a pub called the Swan and Pyramid. Rouse claimed he had previously told him the usual, in quotations, hard luck story, and had informed him, "Governor, I've got nobody in the world that cares whether I live or die." In response, Rouse told the man, through his employment as a commercial traveler, he would be able to get a job for him. So the man started to trust him. He offered him whiskey and drove into the night with him in his car at Hardingstone Lane. Then he struck him with a mallet found by the wreck. Rouse then loosened the petrol pipe, drenched the car and victim in petrol, struck a match, and watched the flames. He left with a briefcase uninterrupted. And later in his confession, Rouse specifically stated that he opted to time the fire in his car to be on Guy Fawkes night, as a fire would not be noticed. From Rouse's confession published moments before his execution, he said, "I pressed his throat hard. He did not resist." Rouse returned to London and spun many different narratives. First, that a hitchhiker had crashed his car. Then that the victim ignited the blaze himself. But police compared timelines, with the briefcase, the witnesses, fuel pipe sabotage, and blood pattern all pointed to premeditated murder. Police visited Rouse's home and interviewed his wife, Mrs. Rouse, and she was able to confirm that her husband had left the home at approximately 8:30 p.m. on November 5th to attend a business meeting, which seems like kind of late for a business meeting, but you
Yeah,
know.
totally late.
And then she said she believed he had come home at approximately 2 a.m.
Of what, from a business meeting?
But Rouse himself had actually hitched a ride to London, arriving in his home at actually 6:20 a.m. Big difference. I assume she was sleeping.
Yeah, she must not have noticed.
He stayed for about 30 minutes at his house before traveling to a train to meet Phyllis Jenkins, one of his many lovers. Also
Cute,
pregnant. Yeah,
cute.
one of his many pregnant lovers.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
when she
Is this guy
asked,
Nick Cannon? Or
trying
just
to be,
asking. Just asking for a friend.
uh, when she asked Rouse where his car was, he replied that it had been stolen, and he reassured her that he had reported the theft to both the police and the insurance company. Such a responsible guy. Early the following morning, Phyllis showed him a newspaper with an image of his burnt out car and a deceased occupant. Police were suspecting that the man was the owner of the car, who is Rouse, and they were questioning whether he had been murdered. So, what do you think our dear old Alfred said to her. Clearly, the car wasn't his, and he had to head out quick to get to Hammersmith by train. So he just left Phyllis and took off.
Nice, nice, nice.
But Phyllis, she's pretty great because she informed the local police that he had been at her house and of his intended destination. Consequently, that evening, Rouse was arrested at Hammersmith by Detective Sergeant Skelly of the Metropolitan Police, who had been waiting for him at the coach terminal. Then Rouse claimed that he was actually traveling to Scotland Yard. Autumn, you're going to die. Traveling to Scotland Yard to confess his crime. At the time of the arrest, he said, "I'm glad it's all over. I was just going to Scotland Yard about it. I was responsible. I'm very glad it's over. I've had no sleep." That is a direct quote.
Cute.
Yeah, right? It's nice. It's nice that he was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you guys came here because I was coming to you." Yeah.
Mhm.
At the police station, though, Rouse contradicted his earlier statement by claiming that he had actually encountered the victim hitchhiking and that he had just offered to give him a lift. He said he had driven to Hardingstone Lane accidentally because he lost his direction. At that location, he had stopped the vehicle to answer the call of nature, and that he had asked his traveling companion, whom he had given a cigar, to fill the car's petrol tank from the can in the boot. So, according to Rouse, when he looked back, the vehicle was ablaze with the man trapped inside. He had claimed that he attempted to open the door, but had been beaten back by all the flames. So, in a state of panic at his predicament, he had to flee from the scene. When questioned as to why two men had seen him walking away from the fire with a briefcase in hand, Rouse claimed that he had taken the briefcase out of the car with him to answer that call of nature because he had noticed that the man had placed his hand upon it, thinking that he was going to steal it. So instead, I guess he lit up a cigar and handed it to him to go now fill the petrol tank. That doesn't quite add up.
Mhm. Yeah.
Here's a lit thing. Go deal with gasoline. It's great. Petrol. Anyway, on November 27th, Rouse was formally charged with the murder of an unknown man. He was remanded into custody until December 3rd, and on this date, a formal trial date of January 26th, 1931 was set. Rouse's trial began before Justice Talbot. The prosecution was led by Norman Burkett and the defense by Donald Finemore. Alfred Rouse pled not guilty. Engineering testimony confirmed sabotage. Spilsbury debunked the accidental fire claims. From the trial transcript, he said, "Circumstantial evidence of such strength that logic of circumstances, one conclusion only. He was murdered by the accused." He testified that the victim had been alive and unconscious when the fire started, and that the mallet found near the Morris Minor was likely to be the weapon used to club the victim about the head to the inception of the fire. And he further testified that one of the few fragments of clothing found upon the victim that had not been destroyed by the fire was a section of the victim's trousers, which was found to be soaked in petrol. Clearly not self inflicted, and it corroborated that the victim was unconscious while Rouse set him ablaze. After 6 days of trial, the jury debated for just 25 minutes before delivering their verdict. Guilty. Alfred Arthur Rouse was sentenced to death by hanging on March 10th, 1931, at Bedford Jail. He still claimed that he was innocent at that point. The jury recommended no mercy. He had one failed attempt at an appeal, and in the days prior to his execution, his legal wife and two of his mistresses alternately visited him to bid him a final farewell. Shortly before his execution, he did write a letter to the Daily Sketch in which he confessed his guilt and detailed all of his actions. He did note that he never asked the man's name. The body of Rouse's victim was laid to rest at a grave marked with a simple cross bearing the inscription in memory of an unknown man. Died November 6th, 1930. A metal box containing several newspaper accounts of Rouse's trial was buried with the victim. Villagers funded the marker. Now, in May 2012, the family of a 23-year-old man named William Briggs, missing since 1930, contacted the Northamptonshire police in hopes that maybe new DNA profiling might provide a positive identification. Unfortunately, it was not a match. To date, 9 families of missing men from that time have been tested. The mystery of who the unknown man is still unsolved. This case
Wow.
remains one of Britain's most haunting unsolved identities. Alfred Rouse tried to vanish through fire, but the flames only revealed his monstrous intent. Fire may erase flesh, but it does not erase motive, wounds, or records. My sources were Science Daily, Crime in Court, Wikipedia, BBC, and Cambridge News.
Oh my gosh, that was like twists, turns, weird shit. Like,
Right?
that's a good
Definitely a
one.
lot of weird shit.
Yeah, that was a good one. I really liked that one.
Yeah, and, man, he scattered his seeds everywhere.
You Yes, like, so I mean, I was kind of being a brat when I brought in Nick Cannon, but I mean, kind of similar to that
No, I
situation.
mean, it's one of the things that they did say is that they thought that maybe his, like, increased sexual appetite was due to a side effect of his PTSD, which could be,
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but Jesus.
or trying to, like, fill a void,
Yeah.
literally. Oh.
Literally. Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the thing is he had, like he married 3 women after he married his wife while they were married, and then he had so many babies, like, all across the country because he was a traveling
Mhm.
salesman,
Yeah.
and that wasn't
And they wouldn't
uncommon.
find out about each other because they were all over the place.
No, and we're not on the internet, there's, like you have to send
Yeah,
a
I mean, it
letter,
was yeah. Was it Dark Ages?
I will say I'm a product of, my great-grandfather had a family on the East Coast. So we were the West Coast family, and he had a full family, married, kids, everything on the other coast. So, you know,
What?
he was a traveling pastor, and he
This is
re
Erin, we have been friends for over 20 years, and you've never told me this.
you know this story.
Why don't I remember it?
I don't know.
You'll have to tell me some other
I'll
time.
have to tell you. It's kinda wild. It's kind of a wild story.
You
There is a
probably have told me, but it was
Yeah,
probably a million years ago.
my great uncle wrote a book about it.
Okay, I definitely didn't know that.
There's like a
Or maybe
whole
I have amnesia.
there's you may be.
So
There's
I don't remember it.
there's a whole ass book written about it, which is pretty crazy. I've read
Which
it.
side? Your dad's or your mom's?
My mom's.
Okay.
It's
That what
Betty. It's
Yeah,
Betty's.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, you do. For some reason, I don't know why I was thinking about your dad,
I
but
don't
now that
know.
makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's kind of
I was
it's
like,
kind
"Wait
of
a second,
crazy.
I don't remember like, that doesn't fit." But now
No, it's kind of
that fits
crazy, and
now.
there's a lot of, like, hidden things within the family because my family is mixed race. So, there was a lot of trying to hide who they were, and they were light skinned and
I
trying to
actually am
pass.
covering a story very similar to that next week.
Interesting.
Not
Um,
this week, but that story is very similar to what you're talking about
wow.
next week.
What if you did a case on my no, I'm just kidding.
Honestly, I don't No, it's not your
Yeah, I don't he
but
didn't
it
murder
is
anybody.
exactly like what you're just describing.
Yeah, it's kinda crazy. It was crazy times back then, you know? But
Mine is also
anyway.
that case actually does not have murder in it.
Oh, well,
It's a
okay
missing
then.
person.
Wow. Well, gee, I can't wait.
Don't you worry. It's actually really good.
I can't wait. But for now, how about we listen to the one that you have for today?
That is exactly what I'm about to do because this is what you came here for. Everybody, right?
Right.
To listen to me tell a story.
Tell us a story,
And
Autumn.
what a wild ride this one will be. It'll leave you feeling a certain way.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I know you can't. Here we go. Are you ready?
Ready.
This case takes us back to 1992 to a hot, late spring day in Oklahoma. A mother, her daughter, and her sister in law got into a car to visit a child Wendy hadn't seen in months. They were supposed to be back later that night. They never came home. The story I'm about to tell you today winds its way through heartbreak, custody battles, courtrooms, and a twisted web of family dynamics that seem too bizarre to be true. It ends not in justice exactly, but in something like truth, buried 8 feet deep under a septic tank in the Oklahoma countryside. This is the story of Wendy Lorraine Camp, her young daughter Cynthia Britto, who went by Bunny, and Lisa Renee Kregear, known as Renee to those who loved her. Wendy was born in 1969. She grew up to be a wife, a mother, and for a while, she lived what you might call a very ordinary life. She married Christopher Britto, originally from Sri Lanka or Kuwait, and they had a little girl, Cynthia. But that marriage didn't last. And by the spring of 1987, Wendy was a single mother, working in an ice cream parlor in Edmond, Oklahoma. That's where she met Chad No. They started dating, and before long, Wendy was pregnant again. They got married, but very soon after, Wendy's life took a drastic and terrifying turn. She went into a coma and stayed that way for more than a year.
My God.
Right? Doctors would later determine she had multiple sclerosis, but at the time, it must have seemed like she had simply vanished, mentally and physically, from her own life. While she was unconscious, Chad made his move. Just 1 week into her, like, I have to say, you don't have to edit this part out. Like, it's just insane to me to read this out loud. Just 1 week into her coma, he told her family that he'd divorced her and he was filing for full custody of their newborn son, Jonathan.
Oh my God.
1 week into her coma, and he's like out.
Wow.
What a piece of shit. I'm sorry, but
For
like,
real.
POS. Wendy's sister Kimberly stepped in to help care for her, but Kimberly was a newlywed and pregnant herself. She was about to move to New York, so Wendy's parents did the next best thing. They asked Chad's mother, Beverly No, if she would take care of Jonathan for a while. She had already said yes in the past. But this time, she didn't just say yes. She took him. Quietly, legally, and without ever telling Wendy's family.
Oh
She
my
filed
God.
for and won full custody of Jonathan. I mean, can you even?
No, I cannot even.
How? Well, Beverly made the case that Chad was unfit, and he very well may have been. He was known to be heavily into drugs at the time and had fathered several children with underage girls.
Wow, similar
So he's
then.
a real winner.
Yeah.
Wendy's family even believed that Chad may have gotten her drugs while she was pregnant, which could have triggered the coma in the first place.
My
But I
God.
mean, that's neither here nor there at this point.
Yeah.
She's in a coma from
Yeah.
multiple
We're already
sclerosis,
there.
and the mother-in-law's taken the kid.
Wow.
But Beverly didn't want Wendy to have custody either. And by the time Wendy fully emerged from her coma over 16 months later,
Thank
everything
God.
had changed.
How
Yes.
horrifying to wake up and find that out.
And find out that your mother-in-law, well, first of all, your husband divorced you after 1 week of being in a coma, and
You
then your
don't have your
mother-in-law took your
baby.
kid.
Yeah. Uh-uh.
And it's like the father's not even raising him, so she's just, like, waking up to this weird reality. And how can you blame somebody? She had multiple sclerosis. It's not like
Yeah.
she was out there just living life and forgetting about her child. Like, she was in a coma.
My God.
Wendy eventually regained enough strength to meet someone new, a man named Leon Camp. They got married in 1990, and as Wendy began to rebuild her life, she wanted to see her son again.
Obviously.
The court granted her weekend visitation with Jonathan.
Thank God.
For a little while, it worked, but it
No.
didn't last. Beverly started interfering almost immediately.
Not surprised
First,
there.
right? First, it was missed visits and no shows. Then she accused Leon of molesting Jonathan during the time he was with them.
My God.
There was no evidence, no history, and more importantly, Beverly was present for every single visit, but she kept pushing that narrative. Then came the day Wendy arrived for a court-ordered visit, only to find Beverly's house was empty. No one had given the court a new address. No one had told Wendy they were moving. Still, she kept trying. At one point, Beverly claimed she had simply forgotten it was Wendy's weekend and had taken Jonathan out of state
Why
to
is the
Six
house
Flags.
empty? Okay.
She just peaced out and was like, whatever. She doesn't need
Oh,
to know,
I forgot.
right? I forgot it was your weekend. Sorry. Wendy kept pushing back. She insisted again and again that she had never signed away her parental rights. No one had, but it felt like the court was ignoring that. Eventually, a court-appointed therapist determined that the abuse allegations were baseless, and Wendy and Leon were officially cleared.
Good.
Still, Beverly refused to comply. How this is being allowed is
I
mind-blowing
don't
to me.
know. I'm so
She takes the
frustrated.
kid and they're like, "Oh, you're a fit parent, but sorry, Beverly still has your kid."
I don't understand it.
Me either. It got so bad that Beverly actually went into hiding with Jonathan. Wendy's father, Edwin Knox Taylor, even became a licensed private investigator just to try and track them down.
Holy shit. Good on
I mean, that's
him.
some like determination, right?
For real.
And somehow, even after all that, Beverly still wasn't held fully accountable. The court made her reappear and ordered her to allow visitation, but they never made her return Jonathan to his mother. Wendy's family still doesn't understand how that could have happened. And then came May 29th, 1992. That morning, Chad called Wendy. He told her that Beverly would pick her up and take her to see Jonathan. Wendy couldn't drive herself. Her MS made that too difficult. Leon couldn't go either because Beverly refused to pick him up, saying he and Chad would probably fight. Leon felt uneasy. Something felt off, so he asked his sister Lisa, who goes by Renee, to go with Wendy. Wendy's daughter Cynthia wanted to come too. Beverly hesitated, but eventually agreed. So it was Wendy, Renee, and Cynthia, just 6 years old, who climbed into Beverly's car that day. It was a long drive, just over 2 hours, from Oklahoma City to the town of Shamrock. Around 1:45 in the afternoon, Wendy called her mother and said they were waiting at a restaurant for Chad to arrive. When he got there, they all went back to his place and spent a few hours with Jonathan. By 4:15, they left. and by 4:42, Wendy called her mom again. She said they were headed home and she'd see her soon. That was the very last time anyone heard her voice. According to Beverly and her mother, Ida, things got heated during the drive back. They claimed that Wendy was arguing with them and Ida didn't want to put up with her anymore. So Beverly dropped Ida off at her house around 5:15. Then, they say, the arguing continued. And about 30 minutes later, Beverly allegedly pulled into a Walmart parking lot in Chandler and told Wendy, Cynthia, and Renee to get out. That's it. That's the story she told.
Wow.
3 people, one of them a child, just walked away from a car and disappeared forever. Leon called the police that night when they didn't return home. A search was launched across 5 counties, but nothing turned up. And as the investigation unfolded, Beverly's story started to unravel. She claimed they left Shamrock at 4:30 as she met Chad in Cushing around 7. But that timeline didn't add up. Investigators determined it was physically impossible, especially on the route she said she took. And then there was the history. Beverly and Ida had long been suspected of something darker. Back in 1980, Ida and her daughter Deborah had been accused of murdering Deborah's husband, John Rowson. Yes. He was found shot. So, I mean, this family obviously has some deep, dark secrets.
For real, though.
He was found shot and stabbed to death in his car. Charges were filed, but later dropped. So, was this a strange coincidence? Or was something far more sinister at play?
I feel like something more sinister is at play.
I feel the same, friend. For years, there were only rumors, whispers in town that Chad had bragged about the murders, that he had taken care of them, and they'd never be found. But there was no proof, no bodies, and no arrests. That changed in April of 2013. A man named Grover Pruitt, Ida's son and Beverly's brother, came forward. He told police that around the time Wendy, Cynthia, and Renee disappeared, Ida had asked him to dig a hole. Suspicious.
A little bit, yeah.
Later, she told him to fill it because she said, there's bodies in there.
What?
I mean, are you kidding me?
And he was like, all right, I'll do what you say, Mom.
Apparently. Grover led authorities to the spot. On a property owned by the Pruitts, under a septic tank, buried 8 feet deep, they found the remains of all 3 women.
No.
Alongside them was a Ruger revolver and a knife.
My God, they killed that little girl too?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot.
Wendy had been shot and stabbed. Lisa, too, had been shot in the torso. Cynthia's cause of death was officially listed as homicidal violence of unspecified means. But when they found her, duct tape was still stuck to her remains.
Oh my God.
She was 6 years old.
What monsters.
Monsters. In 2014, Beverly No was arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder.
Good.
She ultimately took a plea deal.
Ugh.
15 years in prison and 15 years of probation.
That's it?
She was
15 years? 5 years per person?
Mm-hmm. She
What
was
the fuck?
released in 2020 and died in 2023. Ida Pruitt died in 2011, never having been charged for the murders. And Chad No, well, He was never charged either. That part still doesn't sit right with many people,
No.
especially Wendy's family.
Well, especially when he was walking around bragging about it.
Right, yes. Chad had long been suspected of knowing far more than he ever admitted. There were rumors that he bragged about being involved, even that he'd helped dispose of the bodies. But rumors alone weren't enough. And despite his history, his sudden divorce from Wendy during her coma, the years of custody interference, the accusations of abuse, the lies, investigators never found the hard evidence to tie him directly to the murders. No DNA, no phone records, no confession. And by the time the truth started surfacing, more than 20 years had passed. In the end, only Beverly was held legally responsible for what happened that day. Chad walked away scot-free. As for Grover, the man who finally led investigators to the truth, he was charged as an accessory, but the case was dismissed. He died in 2017. Meanwhile, the boy at the center of it all,
Yeah.
Jonathan No, grew up with Beverly. According to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, young Jonathan continued to live with her in Shamrock after the murders. Today, Jonathan is an adult. He has publicly stated that he doesn't believe his grandmother was responsible for his mother's and half-sister's deaths. He continues to refer to her affectionately as Mama Beverly, a
Oh.
testament to the complex bond they shared. Wendy's family never stopped searching, never stopped telling her story. And while justice may have taken far too long, they finally got the answer they'd been begging for more than 2 decades. And maybe, just maybe, that's where some kind of peace can begin. My sources were News 9 Oklahoma City, Tulsa World, Unsolved Mysteries Wiki Fandom, The Charlie Project, and the Oklahoma newspaper.
Well, that was frustrating.
Isn't it? Like, honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't blame the kid for not wanting to think his grandmother that basically raised him was a murderer, but this woman was unhinged.
Obviously.
I mean, she was
Obviously.
from the get. She was like, nope, this is my kid. Both of these people were
It's
pieces
like
of shit.
Stockholm syndrome.
The fucking husband divorced the mom 1 week into her fucking coma, and the mother-in-law takes the kid without anyone giving up parental rights. And then
That
the
is
courts still
ridiculous.
don't give it back when she's woke up and clearly okay. Like,
And
what the
trying
actual
to live her
fuck?
life.
I mean,
That is
this one really
so
gave
that's
me
yeah.
anger deep down in my soul. Like, that poor woman. And she
Um,
was so excited when they called and said she could visit her kid. Like,
well, and had visitation, like,
yes,
with Beverly there.
right. And
I
the fact
hate
that
that.
that Beverly hesitated when she was going to be bringing her daughter, but still killed her that day.
That's awful.
I mean, you monster.
Monster. I
Yeah, so
hated
that one
that,
didn't sit,
Autumn.
yeah, that didn't sit right with me. That one was
No,
really,
that
really
just made
messed
me
up.
angry.
I
Yeah.
know, I'm still fired up. I'm like, what the actual hell? This is not okay.
No, that's just so frustrating. I feel like the legal system really let everybody down.
Failed
And
them
then
all.
and even worse that they, unfortunately weren't able to get enough evidence on the ex-husband, who's walking around town telling everybody about it. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just
100%.
ridiculous. And then, I'm so angry right now. It's only 15 years, 15 years for 3
Mhm.
lives, including
And
a
she had
child.
already been out for over 20 years after it happened. You know what I mean? So it's like, are you kidding me
Including
right
a
now?
child? That's so
Yes.
fucked.
A child and an innocent sister-in-law and the innocent mother. Like, woman, what is wrong with you? You should have just stayed like how she like if you really didn't want the mother to be involved, you psychopath, you didn't have to kill her. You could have continued on your really wrong path of just avoiding her.
For real. Oh, that
No
makes me
one
so
had to
mad.
die, but here we are.
Well, now that I'm fired up and pissed off.
Can't can't you just feel the anger? I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. And you know what's crazy too is when you said that he fathered children by teens,
Mhm.
that's exactly
Yes.
what happened in my case
I know. I
too.
was like, "Oh, there's that connection right there."
There's those teenage moms, man.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that just really,
Lovely.
really made me mad.
I know, I'm
But,
sorry.
now that we've brought you to this wonderful place, just a reminder, do follow us on Instagram at Murder
Yes,
Not Murdering,
please. And we will
where
share pictures of this POS family.
yes, we will share pictures of them. We will share pictures of Alfred Rouse as well, and the car. There's actually a decent amount of
Yes.
photos for me.
Oh, I'm excited to see these.
So, do follow us on at Murder Not Murdering, and then go to our TikTok at mnm.pod, and you can hear more and see visuals at the same time as hearing us talk. And if you do have any cases local to you,
Mhm.
or a connection to you, please share those in our DMs, and we
Please, please,
will
please.
we will cover them. So, at this time, I guess we're gonna sign off, but thank you so much for listening to us,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
we appreciate all of you. So we'll see you next week. Bye.